iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, let's get to it right now. Let's get to last night's games. The games of week 4. Dissect them. And then, of course, we'll also talk about... Oh, what's going on here? I'm watching this Giant game and I'm talking about it at the same time. Ridiculous. Let's talk about the Giant and Saint game. Saints win 33-18. I think this game was troublesome because if you were playing in fantasy football, you were starting Drew Brees, you were starting Eli Manning thinking that you were going to get a 90-point game like they had the last time. And this was anything but that. And I think, retrospectively, I should have known better. Sometimes I look at things and I question, and I say to myself, I should have known better. I should have known that these guys, because they played so high last time with so many points, that maybe this go around, it wouldn't be so high scoring. Remember, Vegas works in funky ways. They know people go, oh, these two teams scored a lot last time. That's what we'll do. So let's go the opposite direction. Something I need to think about. Drew Brees, 217 yards. It was a disaster, right? No touchdowns, nothing. Alvin Kamara was great as always, 134 yards rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns. There's nothing not to like there. But Michael Thomas was 4 for 47. Benjamin Watson was non-existent. Cameron Meredith stinks. And where was Ted Ginn? I mean, it didn't even exist. And Taysom Hill was out there way too much for my liking. Way too much for my liking. For the Giants, Eli Manning throws the ball 41 times, but he only averages 6.2 yards reception. 255 yards and a touchdown. Barkley's like a non-entity there. Touches the ball 16 times. Beckham, they're not even finding Beckham. You have to find Beckham. Now, I'm going to say this. The Giants' offensive coordinator is Mike Shula. Mike Shula stinks epically. He was terrible with the Panthers. He's gone there. If he was any good, he would still be there. They got rid of him. They brought in Nerf Turner, and now they bring him. And now Mike Shula's a Giant, the offensive coordinator. Seriously, he's terrible. Sterling Shepard, 10 for 77, a touchdown. That makes sense. Mike Shula's got to go. Shermer's got to call his own plays. All right. Atlanta against the Bengals. First of all, I knew this game was going to be high scoring. This was a game that you wanted to stack. Andy Dalton, 337 yards and 3 touchdowns. Matt Ryan, 419 yards and 3 touchdowns. I would argue that Tevin Coleman was mediocre. 51 yards. I mean, he had, 77 yards, no touchdowns, not great. But Julio Jones was out of control. Calvin Ridley was great. Sanu, revenge factor. I benched Sanu in a league. It was the biggest mistake I made. I still would have lost the league, but it was my mistake. Revenge. I should have known better. For Cincinnati, Gio Bernard looked tremendous. I think they could have thrown the ball to him more. A.J. Green makes a big play at the end of the game. John Ross scores a touchdown. I told you that was going to happen. It was a perfect game for him to happen. And Tyler Boyd's out of his mind right now. 15 targets, 11 receptions. So get on that bandwagon. The Packers and Bills. Aaron Rodgers, a pedestrian, 298 yards and a touchdown. And I'm not saying that's bad, but when other guys are throwing for 400 yards, when Aaron Rodgers is only giving you 1 touchdown and less than 300 yards, you're probably not winning your game. And you're like, well, I have Aaron Rodgers, but you're not going to win. Aaron Jones, 65 carries. He was the best guy in the backfield. He was the best play. We told you this all along. Right? Jamal Williams, the same 11 carries. He had 27 yards. Aaron Jones had 65 and a touchdown. Hello? Plus, Aaron Jones can catch the ball, which Jamal Williams can't. So if you own Jamal Williams, you're in trouble. Devontae Adams, 8 for 81. Allison, 6 for 80. For Buffalo, there's nobody you want to own. Nobody. Don't tell me McCoy. Don't tell me Benjamin. Don't tell me Chuck Clay. Don't tell me anybody. They all stink. You don't want to own any Buffalo Bill. Ever. Or maybe not this year. All right, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I guess this was bound to happen. He's good. in spurts, but he's not great. So the Bears just pummeled them. I mean, it was 38-3 at halftime. Mitchell Trubisky couldn't miss. And I had Trubisky, but I had the wrong guys with Trubisky. I liked Taylor Gabriel, but I didn't have enough of him. I liked Allen Robinson and Trey Burton. I should have had Tariq Cohen and Taylor Gabriel. I'd be my own rich friend right now. Tariq Cohen was used absolutely spot on in this game. 7 receptions, 13 carries, 20 touches of the football. That's what I've been calling for. I've been praying for Tariq Cohen to get 18, 20 touches of the football and Jordan Howard 10 to 15. That's how this team should work. That's how the Bears are going to be a playoff team. That's what they need to do. Now, Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston, he's a guy to pick up in leagues. If he's out there, pick him up. Ronald Jones is an abomination. The guy is not very good. Maybe he's a good runner, but he can't catch the football. 10 for 29, he's not that good a runner either, obviously. And the guy who's playing well is Deshaun Jackson. Chris Godwin wasn't even out there that much. I don't know what he did to piss Dirk Cutter off. And Mike Evans was 6 for 59. So this was a fantasy nightmare if you had any of the Buccaneers. All right, New England and Miami. Did I not tell you this game was going to go down like this? Did I not tell you that Miami was going to go into Foxborough and get hammered? Hammered. They weren't that good. Nobody believed me. Hello, I was right. Now, when they play in Miami, the game will be a lot closer. In Foxborough, no way. Brady, 274 yards and 3 touchdowns, but it was Sony Michel. 25 carries, 112 yards. Where was Gronk? For 4 for 44, that let me down. Josh Gordon let me down, but you know what? They were up by so much, maybe they didn't have to do much there. For Miami, it was all an abomination, and Kenyon Drake is just stinky poo-poo. If you spend a third-round pick on him, you're probably deep in the cellar of your leagues. You have to be, because he's terrible. And why do you not invest in Ryan Tannehill? 11 for 20 and 100 yards. Never, never, never trust Ryan Tannehill. Only trust him if you want to lose a fantasy league. That said, I was absolutely wrong about Marcus Mariota. Wow, did he look great yesterday. I can't believe the Eagles let them back in this game. And I was wrong about Corey Davis, who I benched in 2 leagues. I absolutely did. I benched him. It was my fault. I just didn't think Mariota's arm could handle it. I was wrong. Derrick Henry, though, done nothing. Deion Lewis couldn't run, but he had 9 receptions. That was a good sign. Taywan Taylor, 7 for 77. That was a good sign. For Philadelphia, Corey Clement was inactive. Carson Wentz played well. Zach Ertz is just a beast. Alshon Jeffrey looked good, but nobody else really got involved. Jay Ajayi did have 15 carries. I would have thought that Philadelphia was going to win this game. I was off. All right, Jacksonville against the Jets. People are talking about Jacksonville's 2-point conversion. It was a crappy move. They didn't need to do that. But it is football, and you want to stop them if that's how you feel. But I just want to talk about Blake Bortles for a second. Blake Bortles had 388 yards and 2 touchdowns. I beg you from the bottom of my heart not to trust Blake Bortles. You can't trust Blake Bortles. He's just not that good. The minute you buy into him, you will lose. So I'm not telling you not to play Blake Bortles. I'm just telling you not to play him every week. Because if you do that more often than not, you're going to lose. But you have to use him judiciously. Some weeks he's in, some weeks he's out. Fournette had 11 carries. Good to see him back. But TJ Yeldon was the better player. 21 touches of the football. D.D. Westbrook, 9 for 130. Dante Moncrief, 5 for 109. Where was Moncrief last week when I played him in daily? I needed him last week. Come on, bum. For the Jets, Sam Darnold, it's just going to be this bad some weeks. It's just going to be this bad. They couldn't run the football. Isaiah Crowell was practically a 0. Bilal Powell did nothing. They had no Robbie Anderson was contained. Anunwa did a little bit. He had one 42-yard play, and then the rest was like 3 catches for like 24 yards. You're just not going to beat Jacksonville that way. Very interesting matchup next week. Jacksonville against the Chiefs. The best offense against the best defense. Let's see. Dallas against Detroit. I got to give props to Dak Prescott. I thought he pushed the envelope yesterday. He challenged the Detroit Lions defense, and he played great football. Kudos to Dak Prescott. Zeke Elliott was out of his mind. That was an easy layup play in fantasy. He had 152 yards rushing and 88 yards receiving. Michael Gallup looked good. Jeff Swain looked good. I thought Dallas looked good. I really give him a lot of credit. For Detroit, Matthew Stafford was fine, but they were behind for most of this game, so we didn't see a lot of Kerryon Johnson. We're still seeing way too much LeGarrette Blount, 7 carries for 12 yards for 1.7 yards per carry. I would like to see those carries go to Johnson. And then Tate, Golladay, and Jones played well. Galladay is sensational, by the way. He is absolutely sensational. He's got some hands, that kid. All right, the Texans and Colts, and a lot of you may be pissed off at Frank Reich going, well, why do you do that? Who wants a tie? I would much rather lose than a tie. At least if I lose, I can talk about that. But a tie? I mean, that's like kissing your grandma or kissing your sister or just some relative. I don't know. I have no problem with it. Andrew Luck was on fire all game. He made one bad throw at the end of the game. It's true. He made one bad throw. And just know this, they did all this with T.Y. Hilton out. T.Y. Hilton was not even there for the last part of the game. But how good is this kid, Naeem Hines? He's really good. He played some slot, and he looked terrific. Buy into him if you haven't. Eric Ebron is so bad. He had 10 targets. He had a bunch of drops. I just don't like this guy. I never will put this guy in a team. I hate him. For Houston, Deshaun Watson played great football. I mean, the Colts got him 7 times. They sacked him 7 times. But Lamar Miller really hurt you in fantasy. But Hopkins and Kiki Kuti, I know I talked about Kiki Kuti as a guy from Texas Tech who is a perfect fit in this offense. I know I mentioned him in whether it's my waiver wire, my podcast, or one of my previews. I told you about Kiki Kuti. 15 targets in this game. I really like this guy moving forward. I was wrong about Ryan Griffin, but very right about Kiki Kuti. I'm excited to see him play. All right, the Browns and Raiders. I told you this game was Vegas was off. Vegas was right about the Giants, but they were wrong about this game. Derek Carr, 437 yards, 4 touchdowns. Marshawn Lynch, 130 yards, and it could have been even more, by the way. They blew a play dead. That was short touchdown. Amari Cooper, 8 for 128 and a touchdown. Jared Cook, 8 for 110 and 2 touchdowns. Martavis Bryant dropped an easy bomb. What a bum this guy is. Just a bum. For Cleveland, please, why don't we see more Nick Chubb? 3 carries, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For the love of God, let this guy play. Let this guy play. And I got to tell you something about Antonio Callaway. He's got some bad hands. Maybe it's concentration. I don't know what it is, but he's got a lot of drops. I'm not in on him. Baker Mayfield played well, but not great. He could have done better. 295 yards, 2 touchdowns. If you spoke to Baker Mayfield today, you know what he'd tell you? He could tell you that he could play better. And he could. All right, Seattle and Arizona. I'm almost done with Russell Wilson. I mean, literally, 172 yards, 21 yards rushing, no touchdowns. I'm so done with this guy. But Mike Davis was a revelation. 21 carries, 101 yards, 4 receptions, 23 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Where's this guy been in my whole life? He looked great. I don't know how he's going to do when Chris Carson returns, but he looked great. I feel very badly for Earl Thomas. The guy didn't want to play, was trying to get out of there, trying to stay healthy, breaks his leg. F you to the Seahawks. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I feel very badly for this guy. Josh Rosen deserved better. He had a couple of plays where guys made some big old drops for him. Big drops. He played all right. It was only 15 for 27 for $180, but it could have been better. Watch this kid. It's going to improve. The Cardinals were in this game. They lost it, but they were in this game. All right, San Francisco and the Chargers. I told you C.J. Beathard wasn't a bum. They played well at times, and I think that they could have even won this game. I really do. Matt Breida didn't have a great game, but George Kittle was tremendous. Marquise Goodwin, I knew was going to suffer with Breida. That was the problem. Kittle and Garcon go up, and Marquise Goodwin goes down. So if you drafted Goodwin because you had Jimmy G, you were a genius, but now it's a really bad play. For the Chargers, Phillip Rivers does his Rivers thing, 250 and 3 touchdowns. It's okay. Melvin Gordon does his thing. But where was Big Mike Williams? Disappeared. I need more Mike Williams. Keenan Allen does his thing. Stop with Tyrell Williams. Stop with Antonio Gates. And give the ball to Mike Williams. Finally, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Baltimore just beat up the Steelers. Flacco looked great. Okay, John Brown looked sensational. 3 receptions, 116 yards, and a touchdown. And let me tell you something. They were throwing the ball to their tight ends all game long. Max Williams, Nick Boyle, Mark Andrews. Every time you looked, there was a boom, tight end, boom, tight end, boom, tight end. It's amazing. For Pittsburgh, they can't run the football. James Conner, 9 for 19? I mean, that's terrible. They had 11 carries for 19 yards. What games are you going to win? Antonio Brown went 5 for 62. Vance McDonald, 5 for 62. Juju, 4 for 60. It just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough. Sad but true. I thought they beat him up in that game. All right, tonight, Kansas City. Love me some Patrick Mahomes. You got to get behind him. Denver's defense is good, but it's not great. This is all about the Chiefs' offensive line. If they give Mahomes time, he goes for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think Travis Kelce has 2 touchdowns tonight. Big night for Travis Kelce. I think Watkins or Tyreek, one of those guys scores. I don't know whether Kareem Hunt scores tonight. I give Kareem Hunt about 80 yards. 80 total yards. I think Hill or Watkins both get about 70 to 80 yards. One of them scores. But I think this is a Travis Kelce night. I think you're looking at like 8 for 96 and 2 touchdowns, something like that. I really do. For Denver, you've got no tight end. Jeff Heuerman's not really a tight end. So I think you're going to see a 3-receiver set with Thomas, Sanders, and Sutton. I think Cortland Sutton might find the end zone tonight. Keep your eye on him. I do like Sanders and Thomas because the Chiefs' defense is really not that good. I think they're overrated. Can they run the ball, though, with Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay? I think Lindsay could be in for a big week this week. I give him about 10, 15 fantasy points. I think Freeman may or may not find the end zone. This game is about Case Keenum. Can Case Keenum play well enough to keep this team in games? If they can, they'll play well tonight and they'll be close. If he doesn't play well, this game will be over quickly. It's as simple as that. All right, but 2 more things for you. First of all, I want you to go to scoutdfs.com. Hockey's starting this week. My man Steve Renner does an absolute great job. Rob Garriak does a great job. Scoutdfs.com. Sign up now. And also scoutfantasysports.com. Go there. We will help you win your leagues, answer your questions, give you the plays, give you the rankings. Do what we can to help you win a fantasy football championship. But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Back tomorrow as we dig inside the box scores. This is Dr. O saying be well and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!